Hey guys, Brian from Peruvian Boas here. I had a pretty eventful May as far as baby boa births, with 3 litters of locality boas and 1 litter of morph boas that was born. I think this is the first time I've had 4 boa litters born in May. Typically most of my boa litters start around June. So today I want to give you guys an update on these litters. I'm going to take out my close-up lens, show you some pictures of the babies, also say a little bit about where you can acquire one of these boas if you're so interested. And I had 1 locality boa litter that I didn't discuss on this channel. The other 3 litters I did a little processing video where I showed you I took the babies out and cleaned up the mother, things like that. I have 1 surprise I haven't talked about today, but I'm going to show you a baby from that litter today, so be sure to stay tuned. So with that, without further ado, I'm going to take out my close-up lens. We're going to take a quick look at some of the baby boas from the litters that I had in May of 2023. To start with, here's a really nice Picalpa Peruvian true redtail. It was born a couple weeks ago. There's the close-up. I just love the pattern on this one. Real nice thin saddles, but you can see the saddles are still kind of peaked. Not as peaked as a Suriname, but they have that little pointy indentation or pointy, I don't know if you can call it an arrow, but the peaked, if you're a BCC enthusiast, you obviously know what a peaked saddle is. Then you can see the beautiful long deep red tail. Just a really nice animal. Last year in 2022 it was a little bit of a challenge for Peruvian red tails. Just had a small litter of just 4 babies. Had a couple litters that unfortunately didn't work out. But I'm real happy to have this litter on the ground. And I'm pretty sure these are going to be my only Peruvians for 2023. My other pairing doesn't seem to have taken, so it's probably not going to happen, but just happy to have these guys on the ground. This is just a really beautiful looking male. He's fed already. He's doing real well. Let me grab another one to show you guys. Here's another Picalpa Peruvian born a few weeks ago. This one has more of a typical look for a Peruvian. The saddles aren't quite so peaked, but they've definitely got these nice thin, almost bow tie shaped saddles. And then you can see that long, nice deep red tail. Looking a little closer, you can see the eyelashes on this one are showing already. And then a lot of little flecking in the background pattern. And these guys are pretty big. I'd say that they're almost 2 feet, maybe 21 inches or so. Really large for a baby boa. And right now they're not nearly as colorful as they're gonna be. The baby boas typically start out gray. They're the true red tails. Although these Peruvians definitely look more of a yellowish shade, and they'll get a lot more yellow as they age. And some of them have this beautiful golden yellow color as adults. Just a really nice litter of Peruvian true red tails. Most, if not all, of these animals will be available. Not planning on holding back many, if any. So stay tuned to the channel. They'll be ready to go in about a month and a half or so. And just really nice top quality examples of Peruvian true red tails. Next, another really rare locality boa. This is the Hog Island Boa, or Saboge Boa. And these animals were born early in May, and they're doing real well. You can see they are characterized by lack of a pattern and almost a hypomelanistic look. This one just has a few small block-shaped saddles. They're kind of this beautiful orangey brown color, and this nice orange brown markings on his tail. But looking closely, you can see that this one is mostly patternless, which is typical for these Saboge boas. And these animals, some of them are feeding, some of them haven't fed yet. This one has actually fed a couple times, but they can be a little challenging to get feeding sometimes. Hopefully most of them will start feeding in the next few weeks. Sometimes I do have to resort to assist feeding if the animals are really stubborn, but usually that's not more than 1 or 2 per litter. And this was actually a litter of a dozen babies, which is the largest Pearl Island litter I've had. Typically, you get around 6 or 8. They typically will have these small litters of really large babies. And these animals were probably close to 2 feet at birth. Here's another one from the litter, and hopefully she'll sit still for a minute. These guys are really active. It's hard to get them to sit still for pictures or video. She's just trying to get out there. So here she is again, and this one you can see is pretty much patternless. And I've actually sexed these guys already. I have a pretty even split of males and females, so I'll have quite a few pairs available if you're looking to get into a Saboge breeding project. Just some real beautiful animals. They'll be ready to go in probably about a month or so. Next we have a litter that I didn't actually discuss on my channel up to now, and this is a Hog Island litter, and this is the one baby that I have from that litter. And so I was looking at the cages quite late at night, right before bed. This is a few weeks ago, and I discovered my Hog Island had given birth probably about a week before I was expecting. And unfortunately, there was just this one live baby. There were several stillborns and quite a few slugs, so it was a little bit depressing. Didn't actually end up filming that whole experience. But luckily I got this one baby, and she's actually a female. So would have liked to have more, of course, especially since I didn't get any Hog Island Boas last year, and these guys are just super in demand and popular right now. But I'm happy to have this one example. This is a pure Sears bloodline Hog Island Boa. And there's another view of her. She's just really light colored, really beautiful, really docile and calm as well. She's actually fed twice, which is great because sometimes these Hog Islands can be hard to get feeding on rodents, but she took fuzzy mice no problem and has taken a second one, so she's almost established. I haven't decided yet about whether this one's going to be available. At first, I was planning on selling her because I already have quite a few holdback Hog Islands, but I have to say she's really grown on me, and I really love Hog Islands, and this is the only one I've produced in the last 2 years, so it might be hard to let her go, but I'll just have to see. But anyway, beautiful Hog Island baby boa, Sears bloodline. Hopefully next year I'll have more, because I do have some more holdbacks which I've been growing up that are ready for breeding, and I might have better results with these younger holdback animals. My adults, my pair hasn't been breeding real well lately. The last few years, I don't know, the male might be getting a little bit old, but luckily we got this nice beautiful Hog Island Boa baby female. In late May, I also had a morph litter born. It was a VPI Jungle cross. I crossed my female VPI Jungle with a VPI male and got some VPI combos. So this one is actually a Jungle. It's Jungle, Albino, VPI, as well as Hypo. And this female was actually the only Jungle from the litter. You can see she's got this definitely reduced pattern and these bright orangey red colors. This female seemed to be not moving around as much as the rest of the litter when she was born, so I was a little concerned, but now she's moving more, and I think she's definitely pulled through. Although I did have a couple stillborns that were Junglos, so if you watch that video where I discussed the litter being born, it's possible that these combos might have overall, they might be a little bit less vigorous or have some kind of associated health issues. But she looks like she's doing pretty well. And her mother, who's a Junglo, has been doing real well, and the mother is about 6 or 7 years old now. So this female will probably be available. Just a really nice example of the 3-gene VPI Junglo morph. In addition to the one VPI Junglo, I had several VPI albinos, as well as several VPI jungles. And this guy is a VPI jungle. And in some cases the jungle is a little bit subtle, but in this case I think it's pretty obvious. You can definitely tell that the shape of the saddles is quite a bit unusual. The spear on each side of the saddles, which is usually more of a dash, is kind of much more larger and kind of much more round. And then the colors are also brighter. And if you look at the side coloration, it's definitely darker than the top coloration, which is much cleaner overall. So definitely the hallmarks of the jungle. One other sign is that this animal has a broken head spear, which is a typical marker of jungle. Then you can see, looking in the middle there, the side of the boa has kind of more of a darker coloration, and there's this abrupt transition between the side that's darker and the top that's much lighter. So definite jungle here. Incidentally, jungle is kind of a subtle gene, and it's not always obvious. I actually did a video about how you can tell if your boa is jungle, so check that one out if you haven't already. I have several in the litter that are obviously just VPIT positive, but then I have several that are, I'm not exactly 100% sure if they're jungle or not. So they have some signs of being jungle, but it's not nearly as obvious as with this one. So I'll just have to see. I might have to sell them and describe them as possible jungles if I'm not 100% convinced. But this one I would say is 100% VPI jungle. Really nice animal. I'm not sure if I'm going to hold back any animals, but I think this one is probably my favorite. So if I did hold back one from this litter, it would probably be this one. Just a really nice color and pattern on this animal. Definitely an example of a living art. You know, boas is art, living art, or designer boas, the VPI jungle. So that was a look at some of the baby boas that were born here last month, and got some really nice animals that were born, and really excited about them. Right now I'm still getting them established. I need to get every boa feeding at least 3 or 4 times before they're ready for their new homes. And right now I've offered food to all of these litters, and on the whole most of the animals are eating, especially from the Hog Island, the Peruvian, and the VPI litter. The Pearl Island litter, Saboge boas, some of these guys aren't feeding yet. Typically these guys take a little bit longer to start feeding. Island boas in general can be a little tricky to get feeding, but I'm going to continue to try to get these guys going. Hopefully almost all of them, if not all of them, will feed on their own. But once these animals have at least 3 or 4 meals in them and they're otherwise healthy, they're going to be available for sale. I'll put them up on my Flickr site. The link is under the video description. You can go there now if you want to see what I have available now from last year. But the 2023 babies will be up probably in another month or so. In the meantime, I got to take lots of pictures of these babies. Got to get really high quality pictures so you guys can see them and decide which ones you like the best. But this takes time, so hopefully I'll be able to get the pictures taken in the next few weeks. And the babies will be available shortly thereafter. So hope you enjoyed the video and liked looking at these beautiful baby boas. As always, shoot me any questions or comments you might have. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your boas.